And now we add in another column to this table that we have created over here called the customers table. So the other field that we add to this table is customer first name, and we are saying to the database or the MySQL server that this field or this column over here should only take alphanumeric characters, and the data type we have for the alphanumeric character is varchar. So because we have said that the data type for this field over here is varchar, we are making sure that this field over here accepts alphanumeric characters. So we are also specifying the length that this field over here can accept. In this case, we have set 15, which means that this field over here can accept alphanumeric characters that are 15 character long at max. And we are saying that this field cannot be left null. In case we say that it can be null, we mean that this field over here can be left blank. But we don't want this field to be blank, so we are saying that this field should be not null. Same with the customer last name. So we are adding another additional column to this table called customer underscore last name. We are saying the data type for this field is varchar, which means it can take in alphanumeric characters. We are also specifying the length of this field over here, and we are saying that this field cannot be left blank, and the way to do that is not null. And same with the customer address. And the main point over here is how do we let the database or the MySQL server know that customer ID is the primary key. So the syntax the MySQL has to specify or to let the database know that the primary key for this table over here is customer underscore ID. The syntax is primary key. So we type in the command called primary key, and then we start bracket, and we just type in the primary key for that table. In this case, it's customer ID, so we just say it's customer ID. So we run this command over here. So it says it is successful. If it was not successful, then it would have been some kind of cross sign. So the other syntax I want to be able to talk about is how do we delete the column. So to delete the column, the command for this is over here. Let me comment this thing out over here. So we just type in this command called alter table, which is a command to delete any columns in the table. Note that we are not deleting the table or a database. We are just deleting the columns. In that case, the command to delete a column from a table of the database is alter table. So Vandelay is the name of the database that we are doing, and we put in dot sign or slash dot followed by the name of the table, customers, drop column, customer underscore first name. Now at this point you might just ask me a question like, why am I specifying the name of the database when we have already let the system know that the database that we are using is Vandelay. In that case, your question is absolutely valid and you are absolutely correct in asking me that question. So this field over here, if we have used the database name using this command, is using the command use Vandelay. So this field over here is optional. I can just get rid of this. But in case, let's say you just started your MySQL server and you wanted to execute the query as soon as your MySQL server starts, in that case the command would be like you tell the system that you type in the database name as well. But this field is absolutely optional if you have already typed or used this command. So I don't know where did this come from. I'm going to get rid of this. So I'm going to go ahead and run this query. Now I don't know why we have this cross sign. I'm thinking the system is weird because, you know, over here it does not show any kind of sign over here, the red sign. So because this query was successful, we see that, like, you know, now this column has been removed, customer underscore first name. And the way to check that would be you can refresh this and you can do it over here. You click on columns and now you see that, you know, it's got the customer ID, customer underscore last name, customer underscore address, but it does not have the first name. So let me comment this code as well for the moment. So the other command that I want to talk about is adding the column back. So how do we add the column? The command is same. So we do this. We comment it out. And let me just minimize this one. Okay. So the command is going to be the same. Whether you want to add a column or delete the column, you're going to use the same command called alter table. And, you know, like I said earlier, you know, this is going to be optional, but you can always add it. And because you're going to be using this column, you can use because you're going to be using this table, you specify the table name. And because you want to add column and not drop the column, the command is add column, customer underscore first name, which is the field that you want to add in, followed by varchar, which is the data type you want this field to have or store. And you also specify the length that it can accept or can hold at max, in not null, and, you know, after customer ID, which means you want this field to be placed in the system right after the customer ID. But this is optional. But this is optional as well. You can, you know, you can have it, you cannot have it. That's completely optional. So I go ahead and I run the query. So we've talked about adding column, deleting column. The next thing I want to talk about is deleting the table. So I go ahead over here, and now I want to delete a table. So the query or the code to delete the table is very simple. You have create table, the command create table for creating tables. And if you want to drop that table, the command, like I said, is very user friendly. The command is drop table followed by the name of the table. So I just go ahead and run the query. Now what I will do is I will go ahead and make sure the table has been deleted. So we click in over here, which is our database, and I click on the tables option, and, you know, there is no table. If there was, then we would have seen, you know, some kind of sign over here, which could be expanded. So, and let's say we want to delete the database. The command is again very, very user friendly. So we have added a column, we have deleted a column, we have created a table, and now we want to go ahead and delete the database. So the command for deleting the database is also very, very user friendly. Just as the command to drop a table is, or delete a table is drop table command, likewise the command to drop a database or delete a database is drop database. So I will go ahead and run this query, and this database should just go away. So if we see the list over here, this database that we had created, Ventilate, does not exist anymore. So yeah, let me just go ahead and remove these queries, because I want to be able to recreate this database, because I also want to talk about how do we insert the database, how do we insert the data in a data column. So what I will do over here is I'll select all and I will hit the run button. What happened? Oh, okay. So it says duplicate column. Oh, okay. So because this column is already created in our first field over here, the system is telling us that this column customer underscore first name already exists, and by running this query we are just creating a table or creating a data column that is duplicate. So what I'll do next is I will select all and I will hit the run button. Now it should run. Okay. So now the other thing that I want to show you is how do we insert the data. But before that, let me go ahead and select the rest of the commands that we have in the cheat sheet. So I will copy paste all the command. This is very similar to what we did with the first table that we created with the customer's information table. So now I'll just go ahead and hit the run button. So all the queries are successful. So now one last thing that we do is we add the data. And to add a record is very similar, just like we say that like anytime we want to insert a new data or something, or we want to insert some new variable, the terminology, the English terminology is insert. So the database syntax or the database command to add any record to the system is again insert. So I will just comment this label over here and I will just hit the run button. So we have a data inserted. And a way to check whether the data has been inserted or not, we can go to the schemas, we can go to the tables, and we can just click this view option for the clerk table, and we see that we have successfully inserted a data George Costanza, which is what we've inserted over here. So so once you have become very familiar with the database commands, there is even an easier way to insert data, and that would be like once you have the view data, once you click on the view data mode of the database table, you can just click it over here. You type in the clerk ID and you type in the name and the last name, and you hit the apply button. You validate the query, you click on execute, and you click on finish. So you now have added another data to this table called clerks, but this time you've done it manually. So yeah, so in this video we talked about how do we create a database, how do we create tables to the database, and then how do we add in field, and then we also talked about how we add in data values. So yeah, so this is all about database creation. So if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach me out. So yeah, so thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you have a good weekend, and thank you so much.